Hey everybody, Life on the Trail here. We're up here at the Tumco historic town site, as you can see. I'm going to be doing a couple mile hike. The trail here goes through the old town site, the old mining area. After we get done doing the 1.5 mile trail in the town site, we'll hit up one of the canyons there and do a little exploring. I'd like to thank you all for watching my channels, and let's go get it done. Let you guys get a look at what it's like out here. We're looking towards San Diego that way, and now towards Mexico. It's only a few miles down there. The Alcadones Dunes are right there, and very rugged country. You can look at these hills and they're so jagged and rugged. A lot of prospecting spots on them. You'll see where the old prospectors came through and were digging at the quartz veins up on the mountains here, tearing it apart looking for the gold. This is the site of Tumco, and I'll zoom in. You'll see the dunes out there. There they are. And then these are the Muchacha Mountains. Extremely rugged and jagged. They don't get a lot of rain here, so you don't find a whole lot of weathering from the water. And you can see up there, they're a lighter colored lines up on the mountains, on the hillsides. That's where the old prospectors were digging at those quartz veins. And they went everywhere through here. So what we're doing is I'm going to go over here. I see there's looks like kind of a sandstone canyon right over here. I'll go check it out. So yeah, this is that sandstone area I was looking at. One side you got the rock over there, and you can probably hear it echoing in there. And this side is more sandstone. So let's go on over here and take a look. It's kind of an interesting formation. You can see where the sand was blowing in, right there, filling in this. So it'll fill in from the wind blowing across here. And then when they get a good heavy rain in here, the water will rush right down through here and clean all that sand out again. So it's just and that's kind of what's making the sandstone. It's the constant change of the water coming in and turning it to mud and making it hard. So you can see all the layers on that sandstone there. And then of course in there you see it's filled in. And that, we always called them guadis in the military. But, oh, look at this. These are sand pebbles. And what they do, you can see them all there. What they're doing is that wind's blowing and making these go around and around and around and around and wearing these down. And that's what makes these, you can see these little spots back in here. That's bigger pieces of sand going around and around and wearing at the sandstone. Let's see how it crumbles. So here's a small one here. And as you can see, it's not very wide, but out here in this stuff, you got to be very careful because, I'll show you right here, how this side is collapsed. See how it's cut there? You get too close to these overhangs and it'll collapse on you. So you got to be careful on that. But you can see how that wind's ripped through there. It's kind of like, almost looks like a miniature Grand Canyon where that sandstone's been cut, but it's actually the wind that's doing this through here. You can see the I don't know if you guys can see that or not with that shade there, but you can see where that wind and the sand goes through and rips through it. And you can see it on those. They're like miniature mesas out here of sandstone. Very cool. So here's an old can. You can see it's not extremely old, but it's got that old pop top to it. It's got the printing on it. It's got that patina on it that the rocks have out here in the desert. I'll have to show you some of that, but it's not just rust, and that's the funny thing out here is these old artifacts like this. Of course, this is probably from the 60s, 60s or 70s, but they don't rust that much because they don't get a lot of precipitation out here, so they last. And this was just sitting here right there, and we'll leave it there. But that's what you find out here. They don't get enough precipitation out here to rust things like in other parts of the country. So one of the things I'd like to, we're going to go over in another video is safety while hiking. And it just reminded me, being out here, there's a few things that you've got to be careful of, and I'll just go over them real quick with you. One, snakes. It's about 60 degrees out here. I haven't seen any lizards today like we did up in the prior video on Painted Trail hike. So if you don't see lizards, most likely in the desert, you're not going to encounter a whole lot of snakes because it's still a little cold. It got down to about 35 degrees last night here. That cold front came in. So, but snakes are certainly an important thing to watch for. The other, as I mentioned earlier back there, is those, when you walk up on one of these washes, you don't want to get too close because of the overhangs, and that sandstone it's not very firm. So you don't want to, here's a good spot here. You don't want to get too close to the edge. It's gonna collapse on you. You can see some collapsing here. So if I was to stand here, see that? So the point is, stay away from the edges of stuff, especially in the sandstone areas. They aren't very stable. And certainly don't be crawling into areas. There's a small collapse there. I understand that, you know, these are just small things, but you don't want to climb into an overhang that has sandstone because it can let go at any time. So we're going to head up here where the main mining area was. Of course, water. You always want to bring water. I've got 2 liters here in my hydration pack. So snakes, collapses, water. The last thing, when you're hiking out here in these mining areas, you can be hiking along and all of a sudden you'll come up to an open hole. And they're mine shafts, and I'll show you some up here. You've got to be, just like anywhere that you're hiking, you've got to be careful on you know, always be watching where you're walking, where you're stepping. Because those mine shafts, you can come over the top of a hill and drop right into a vertical mine shaft. We'll find some up here in a little bit. There's a lot of old beat up cans here. Left, looks like a mine shaft right over here. Oh no, it's I think it's a well. It's got the sides are all cemented in. Yep, that's an old well. Goes down there probably 20 feet and just rocks in the bottom. That's an old well. So I've never actually walked up this canyon, up to this. I thought the whole town site was down there where the sign was, but it's not. And down below there's an old cemetery. But here, oh, I just found a piece of, what is it? Oh, it's bone. It's a piece of sliced bone. So when you see sliced bone, what that means is it's not human. What that is it's been sliced. You can see those cuts. So that was most likely a miner's meal. You know, a piece of, you know, a rib or whatever. But that's what it is. It's a piece of bone. Anyways, back to what I was saying. What I just found here looks like another miner's graveyard. It doesn't show it on the map, but these are certainly graves. I've been to a lot of these old miners' graveyards out in the desert or out here, and none of them have names or anything on them. Most of them don't even have a wood marker like that. They're just piles of stones. This one's got some pottery in it. It says Royal Bimmy. So shard. Kind of interesting. We'll leave that right there. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, probably a couple dozen graves right here. That's a small one, so I'm guessing that was a child. Yeah, here's another small one. It was a hard life up here for those miners. They brought their families up, and yeah, none of these have names or markers to them. That's a typical graveyard, old graveyard out in the desert. Oh, let's head on up here.